live. Hang on.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're live. So
We're live. We're doing this thing.
we're live. We're doing it. So welcome to the 12 days of LinkedIn Live. Today I have a very special guest and a friend of mine. So I'm going to ask him to introduce himself. So Jacob, tell us about you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on, Stephanie. This is so fun. I'm so
Yeah,
excited that we get to do this.
no, me
Um,
too. And by the way, we get the recording, which lives on LinkedIn. So you will be able to see this at any point, and we can actually utilize it, put it on YouTube, download it. This is a great social media tool, Jake.
okay, all right. So this is forever. This is in perpetuity. This is going to be out there. So I better not say
Yeah,
anything not nothing too incriminating.
it's live
Um,
TV.
Geez. Okay. Well, here we go. Well, thanks so much for having me, Stephanie. I'm Jacob Eidinger. I am the marketing and communications manager at Miller. We are a feminist litigation firm based in Brooklyn, New York. I have been in legal marketing for roughly 6 years. Before that, I was actually a marketing manager at a chain of tattoo studios. So this is quite a
What?
departure. Yes.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, yeah.
Thing.
Yeah, yeah. So, I took a bit of a 180-degree turn, but now here I
Yeah.
am in legal marketing. So I've been with my firm for about 10 months now. And my firm, we're a plaintiff side law firm. We're a relatively younger firm. We've been around for 7 years. And we mostly handle employment discrimination, sexual harassment, and sexual abuse cases. And so prior to joining this firm, I was at another plaintiff side litigation firm that handled very similar types of cases. So this is all I've been doing in legal marketing is helping survivors tell their stories and just giving people a voice and advocating for legislation that makes workplaces around America safer, that gives survivors more tools in the justice system to take their abusers to court and to win. So I feel very lucky that I get to do this type of
I
work.
know you're actually doing things that like are much more than helping lawyers make more money. Like it's
Well,
great to
that's a part of it too,
no,
right?
no, of
Like,
course, but you're
yes.
actually like doing things to help people and the world. And I think a lot of us feel like, our work, like that's why I do volunteer work, Jacob, because I want more
Mhm,
meaning in my life. But it's really nice that you get to do that. I'm so curious about plaintiff side marketing because I've never really been on that side. And
mhm.
yeah, I know you've been involved with the LMA and some other things, but tell us about, I mean, I know it's like your area and that's what you do, but you've also been exposed to other things by going to LMA programs and just being around other people and reading things. Can you tell us a little bit about what's unique about plaintiff side marketing and maybe some of the things that some of us don't know about it and like what works, what doesn't work?
Definitely. So the strategies are a little different when you are marketing a plaintiff side law firm because you're marketing directly to consumers,
To
right? And
people, right?
yes,
Your
yeah,
client. Yeah.
definitely. And so, just to take a step back for a little bit, let me start from the beginning.
Yeah.
So my first foray into legal marketing, and it's interesting, the very first LMA program I ever attended was a webinar that you were a panelist on. We were talking about the intersection of business development and social media. And so this was maybe in 2018. I was about a year into working in a law firm. And when I started at my last firm, I was the first ever marketing professional at this plaintiff side litigation firm. And so the firm, they had a sense of what they needed somebody to do, but they really needed someone to basically create something out of nothing. And so very early on, I felt like I needed more resources in order to actually understand what this job is. I
Yeah.
thought that I knew a lot about marketing going into it, but the legal field is just so different that I really felt like I needed resources. I needed a network of people to help me figure this out. And so you were one of the very first people that I connected with and became friends with in this industry. And so this is really a very full circle moment for me, but
I
something that I've,
know it is.
yeah.
I
And
know. And I saw
so
something in you that I was like, he's gonna be a superstar. You were, but you just your energy, Jacob, your just your approach to things that you're just you care about what you do and you're smart. I mean, there were just so many things, but I'm so glad our paths crossed and I'm so
yeah,
glad
me
to see
too.
how your career has taken off and you're awesome and you're gonna do so many more awesome things. So it's great. We also, by the way, before we do stop this, we have to get into like how you got into like, I want to know how you got into legal marketing and how you also got into marketing for for tattoos. Like, I
Oh
don't.
yeah, we can talk about that.
Okay,
We can
so
talk about
yeah,
that. But anyway, just to go back to your
yeah,
original question, so the strategies for marketing to direct to consumer is a little bit different. You're really heavily focused on the digital side of things, digital advertising, social media, a lot of PR and communications. I mean, just figuring out how to get the message out there to the people that need your help. And so it's a little bit different than your traditional big law marketing, which is very focused on business development and relationship building. And there's definitely a degree of that that goes into marketing a plaintiff side firm as well. But for us, it's really taking the issues of the day and figuring out how to talk about them and communicate about them in a way that resonates with the larger audience. Because a lot of times, especially working in sexual abuse litigation, there are a lot of our clients who maybe have been facing some type of abuse and they don't even realize that they have legal recourse. And so figuring out ways to get in front of audiences that really could benefit from having a lawyer, that's really sort of what the task is. And so, yeah, a lot of social media. I also find that for plaintiff side work, the more that you're out there in the media talking about these issues, having conversations about the issues that your clients are facing, the issues that the legislative landscape, giving webinars, just going out there and talking to people about what's going on. Every time our firm appears in an article, for example, or
mhm,
does a webinar, we might get a dozen people contacting our office saying, I saw you in New York Magazine, and I went through something similar, and I just want to know what my options are.
yeah.
So yeah, it's really, really heavily focused on the digital. I would say that's the big difference. I've only ever known working for plaintiffs firms, so I wouldn't even tell you. Like, I've never done a pitch in my life. I don't know what an RFP is. Don't ask
Consider
me.
yourself lucky, Jason.
Yes, yes,
I just did one
definitely.
yesterday and it's miserable. So,
Yeah.
but I'm
Go
curious,
ahead.
do you use a lot of outside resources being like the solo marketer at the last two firms? Like, do you have a PR firm? Do you do it yourself? How do you manage everything like you have on your plate? Also,
Hmm.
I've been in your shoes,
Yeah.
not as a solo marketer, but I've had like one person working with me, like, a junior level person, but it's not easy to manage everything on your plate. So I became really resourceful, I guess, and like had some outside business partners that helped me with things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like, how do you do it all?
So it's a great question, and I'm just now realizing that my computer is not plugged in. So I'm going to answer this question while I do
Yeah,
that.
plug in your
But yeah,
computer.
but
Everybody
being
says you need to be plugged in because he's a solo marketer, everybody.
yes,
Are
yes,
you
we
at a
cannot.
standing desk, by the way?
I'm at a standing desk. Yeah, this
See?
is I give every time I give a presentation or
Yeah.
I have a meeting, I always like to stand up. I feel like it helps me. I don't know, it just helps me think better.
Yeah, I
So
should be doing that too. I don't stand up. I'm like a sit down person.
yeah,
It would
it's
benefit.
also just nice to get to shake your legs out a little
Yeah.
bit and just get some cardio in. But to answer your question, it's not easy being a solo marketer. And when I started at my last firm about 6 years ago, I was the only person in my department. You end up having to wear a lot of different hats and do a
Yeah.
little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So I'm involved in everything that marketing and business development does. I do PR, I do social media, I work on our website, we do events, we do award submissions. I mean, like literally everything that you could think of, you have to have a hand in it. And so you do need sometimes outside resources in order to get the job done. I'm only one person, right? If I were to try to do everything at 100%, I would burn out and I wouldn't be able to do the job
Yeah.
anymore. So it helps to have help, and I'm actually hiring someone right now. So
Oh,
looking
you
for
should promote
an
that.
admin to help me. Yeah, yeah,
It's
definitely.
really
So,
link.
but in terms of PR, we never use outside PR firms. I handle it all myself. I found that working with, and I have worked with outside PR firms. I find that sometimes it lends itself to too many cooks in the kitchen,
Yeah.
and there's like bottlenecks that happen when you're dealing with all of these different parties, especially trying to communicate with the client and with the agency and with the journalist. So not so much there. I think that for plaintiffs firms, really where you can get a lot of support are things like content creation, SEO, and web development. Those things can be easily outsourced, and it's good to have someone who understands the landscape. Like you don't just want to choose any Joe Schmo SEO person, but you really
Yeah.
want to choose someone who works in the legal industry and understands the keywords that you're supposed to be looking for and the competitive landscape, things like that. Social media is sort of a low hanging fruit that you can outsource. And so when I do ultimately hire someone, I hope to have them really involved in things like social media and referral networking, building out our relationships. So yeah, it does help to have help. And I will also say that being when you're a solo marketer, working with a bunch of attorneys who have no idea what marketing or business development is, sometimes you really need a sounding board, people who you can bounce ideas off of, because right now it's just me, just in my little at my desk in my corner plugging away at my marketing. And so that's where I've really found the benefit of having a network and things like LMA or other professional associations where you can meet people who have done this or doing the same job and who you can bounce ideas off of. And I'm so grateful for people like you and other people in the industry, because everyone has been really generous with their time and with their knowledge sharing. And I say all the time, I really owe my career to LMA, because I would not have the career that I have without all of these people who have been willing to help me out when I'm in a pickle, or help me bounce ideas off of when I'm not sure exactly what direction I want to take my marketing in. So the power of having a network is really important.
It's so important. I remember, like, there were times where you wanted to get more involved in committees, and you've luckily worked for firms that encourage that. And I think that
Yeah.
that's a great way to meet people. It's a great way to find resources outside service providers, also potentially even a job at some point. Like, you never know. When I was a junior marketer, I did the same thing. I got involved in the LMA. I went to programs, and especially when you're a solo marketer, it can be a little lonely. So it's
Hmm.
nice to know that the world, you want to bounce ideas off of. You want to know different things, and especially being like new to the industry, I think it's so smart, so important. So Jacob, how did you get each of the jobs that you have? Like, tell us
Hmm.
about your career path and how
Yeah.
that happened for you.
Yeah, it's really interesting. My career path has had so many twists and turns. I've been working since I was 16. And I started out just working odd jobs, like basically anything that paid the bills. So I worked in restaurants, I worked in bars, I was a sales associate at the Gap in Times Square.
So you know
Um,
how to fold sweaters really
Oh
well
yeah.
at first?
Oh yes. Yeah, that's basically all I did all day. No, but that was actually a really formative experience for me, because working in Times Square, super high volume, you're dealing with hundreds of people from all around the world every single day. It's very fast paced. And so I learned a lot of those soft skills that you kind of overlook in a professional services career, things like communication, things like working on a team, just like navigating, I don't know, workplace politics.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
I
I got.
used to work at Kids R Us, by the way, when I was
Oh, nice.
16, and
Oh,
especially
okay.
at the customer service desk. There's nothing harder than being at the customer service desk, especially with, like, moms that are really stressed out
Angry
with their
parents.
kids.
Yes.
I think
Hmm.
working in retail really helped me manage lawyers very well, so I'm with
Yes.
you on that, by the
Yeah,
way.
I totally agree. And so, I give talks to college students periodically, and I always tell them, like, if when you're in college, this is the time for you to be working. Like, don't even feel like you need to have some fancy schmancy internship with a crazy title. Like, even just having work experience can really be valuable to your career later on. So by the time that so I was in college when I started working at the tattoo company. I had only ever been doing these service industry jobs, and it was a really interesting opportunity, because it was basically I was working for a startup, and we had this growing marketing department. And actually, this company was a chain. So we had locations around the country. We had locations on the East Coast and the West Coast. I wasn't particularly passionate about
I
tattooing,
was
like
gonna
as
ask,
a
do you have a tattoo,
I
Jacob?
do. I have quite a few tattoos,
You do?
actually.
Okay.
Yeah, most people wouldn't know because I wear suits all
Yeah,
day.
I'm
But
getting my first tattoo
oh,
actually in a
really?
few weeks.
What are
Yes,
you
and
getting?
so I have a dog that passed away, a Frenchie, and I wanted to get a little French bulldog with a heart, but I don't want to do it anywhere where it really hurts or where you can see it. So definitely
Mhm.
not my face, okay?
Mhm.
But maybe you can give me some tips on the. I've heard like here is
Oh
really
yeah,
painful.
no, definitely not. Don't do
Yeah,
that.
and maybe
Yeah.
I could do it here, or I've
Yeah.
heard ankle is painful too.
Yeah, yeah. Anywhere that's close to like the bone
The
is
bone,
yeah,
yeah.
you probably want to avoid. But so and anyway, because I was working for a startup at the time, I really got to learn a lot about marketing in a very short period of time because I was also in a position where I had to wear a lot of different hats. And so we were doing everything from social media advertising to, I was really closely involved with our sales team and I was in our CRM every single day working on email automations and other forms of digital marketing. I was really closely involved with our web designer. And so I gained access to this world of marketing that I had not previously been exposed to. And so then by the time an opportunity at a law firm came around, I had all of the skills that my firm was looking for. They were looking for someone that had done all of the tactical marketing stuff. The only difference was that I just hadn't done it for a law firm
Yeah,
before.
for law firms. I mean, and it's
Yeah,
easy to apply it to that way. I mean, I was a magazine editor before I
yeah.
got to legal marketing, but I was doing all of the writing and the editing, and it just lends itself to, I just had to learn what lawyers did and how to, I don't know, even like just, my first day of work, Jacob, when I went to a law firm, I was totally wearing the wrong clothes because I was like,
Oh yeah, I've been there.
so yeah, I just had to shift my mindset and look a little different, but it
Hmm.
was, when you know how to do marketing, you can market,
Anything.
a cup, you can
Yes.
market water, you can market a
Yeah.
pen. I'm just picking up anything I have on my desk right now. So, it does lend itself. So you were at your prior firm for like 4 or 5 years or
About
something
5 years. Yeah,
like.
yeah. Hmm.
And then tell us how you found or how they found you for this new role and what was so attractive about it. You and I spoke at the LMA holiday party last week, and I got to know a little bit more about your firm and the great work it's doing. So we're curious about how it all
You're
came to
you're
be.
you're talking about my current firm,
Yeah.
how I came to where I
Mhm.
am now. Yeah, so actually through networking essentially. So I there were a couple of attorneys that I had worked with at my previous firm that moved over to this new firm and we had just maintained contact
The
and when
importance of
I
relationships, right?
yes, yeah. And every once in a while I would check in with them and ask how things were going and they would say, "Oh, things are so great. I really like the team that I'm working with. Like our cases are really interesting." And so then when the time came for me to consider new opportunities, actually one of my coworkers now, who is an attorney that I had been working with, she was the first person that I texted. And I
Mhm.
said, "Hey, I don't know if your firm is looking for a marketing person, but I'm open to exploring new opportunities." And she texted me back right away and goes, "Your timing is crazy because our marketing person actually just left and
Oh
we
my
are looking for
God.
someone and I think you would be perfect."
Okay, so
So
that is
yeah.
okay, few lessons here, okay? Few
Hmm.
takeaways. Number 1, stay in touch with former colleagues. Number 2, when you're thinking about looking for a job, even if it doesn't exist somewhere, there's no job posting, there's no harm in messaging people and say, "This is something I'm looking for. Do you know of anybody or are you guys looking for somebody?" The timing doesn't always serendipitously work out the way it did for you,
Hmm.
but you never know. And so you got to be in it to win it. That's the New York State Lotto slogan, Jacob.
Yes.
Like I'm not encouraging you guys to play lotto. What I am saying is you have to put yourself out there for certain
Yeah.
opportunities and your network, people who know, like, and trust you are probably the best people to go to when you're looking for something like this.
Right. And those are the people that are also going to go to bat for you
Yeah.
when you're in like an interview situation. And so I can tell you, and maybe this, I'm going to embarrass my boss a little bit, but when I was starting to have conversations with her, my former coworkers, or who are now my coworkers, were like telling my boss, "Oh, you have to get this guy, like do whatever it takes. He's worth it. It's going to be awesome." And one of the things that really drew me to my current firm, Crum Miller, is that we brand ourselves as a feminist litigation firm. And so we are really focused on empowering women who have been through like really shitty situations,
Yeah.
pardon my French. And
No.
whether you're being harassed in the workplace, or you're being discriminated against because you want to go on maternity leave, or God forbid you've been sexually abused. Our clients go through some of the most dire situations of their lives, and the stakes are really, really high. Emotions are like at its peak. And so what I really love about my current firm is that we take that obligation really seriously, not just as legal advocates, but also as trusted advisors to our clients who are going through some of the most difficult and traumatic events that they've ever been through. So I felt like, and I had been following this firm for some time, and I felt like, oh, this firm just has such a killer brand. I love their brand voice. I don't really need to do anything other than to just get it in front of the right audience. And so that's what I'm working on right now. Yeah, it's been really rewarding.
That's amazing. Okay, so tell us about your LMA work. I know you're co-chair of the social media internet like committee group, special interest group. Tell
So
us
yeah.
about like what you're doing. I know you're going to continue in that, and maybe a little bit about your LMA involvement.
Yeah, yeah, totally. So, I've been really fortunate to had like kind of a meteoric rise within the LMA leadership. So I just rounded out my first year as co-chair of the social and digital media SIG. Before that, I served in a number of different committees. I was on the strategies editorial board. I served on the local steering committee in New York, which is our largest local group in all of LMA. I had served on the regional conference committee at your invitation. That was one of my very first
Yes.
um, and even before then, when I first started going to LMA events, I was so excited about the opportunity to be in these rooms with my peers, with people who were doing the same type of work that I was doing. And so I just immediately started getting involved. I would work at registration tables, just handing out name
Organize
badges.
the drives. Like one of
Yeah.
the things I was so impressed
Mhm.
with was you really pioneered like wanting us to give back. So I think
Yeah.
it was like the coat drive or
Yeah, we did
and
a
it was
number of charitable initiatives. We did a coat drive. I organized a toy drive. We
yeah.
did a food drive at the last holiday party. So, yeah, like just making people feel good about being involved in the community. That was something that was really important to me. But so, anyway, flash forward to now. I am one of the co chairs of the social and digital media SIG, along with Jennifer Forster, who's out on the West Coast. And our incoming co-chair, there's going to be three of us next year. Erica Galarno in Hawaii is going to be
Yeah.
joining us. So, we've been really focused on developing quarterly programming that's just talking about all the things that are going on in the social and digital media space. And one of the brand new things that we brought to LMA this year was a new program called the 21-Day Social Media Challenge. This was, you may be familiar with, and I think you were the social media SIG co-chair at one point too, right?
I
So
was years ago. So
yeah.
it's so nice to see you do it. Yeah, this challenge was it was actually great timing. I was during the summer and you guys had
Mhm.
a syllabus and listen, like when you become co-chair of a committee, it's hard to sometimes like make a mark or feel like you can do something that really helps your constituency, your members. And you guys
Mhm.
did it. I mean, you really
Yeah.
engaged people. It had to be a Herculean amount
Oh my
of
gosh.
work. I mean, and
It's
so
so it took over 6 months of planning
yeah.
and to develop the syllabus and to even figure out the format of how we want to structure this thing. And for those of you who are tuning in who aren't familiar, the 21-Day Social Media Challenge is basically a 21-day crash course in the state of social media. It's not even how to do social media marketing, like not how many characters is a tweet and what image dimensions do you need for a LinkedIn post, but really like understanding the social media as a business model and understanding how social media influences us in our day-to-day lives, and then using that to make informed decisions about your marketing strategy at your law firm. So it had a bit of a legal bent, but it was more broadly focused on social media's influence in our world. And so every day for 21 days, we had a syllabus with daily assignments, readings, podcasts, videos. You have it, and then we would come together once a week on Zoom to talk about it. The feedback that we got from our attendees this year was that while the assignments were really helpful and thought provoking, they learned so much more just from coming
From
together on
each
Zoom
other.
once a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and talking to each other. And we had 200 people participate in the challenge this year. We're going to do it again in 2023,
I
so
was
hopefully we
just
can double that.
going to ask
Yes.
you. I'm definitely gonna do it this year. I mean, even someone who supposed to know what they're doing. Like somebody called me the social media butterfly once, Jacob. So I know I can learn from my peers and
Hmm.
contribute, and and like get to interact with everybody around the country, around the world. So it's a
Hmm.
great way to bring people together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I also think that even if you are a seasoned social media marketer, first of all, this program is really intended to be at the advanced level. But secondly, because social media is constantly changing, I mean, just look at what's going on with Twitter. I mean, who the hell knows what's going on with Elon Musk? But because the
Yeah.
landscape is constantly shifting, there's always going to be new stuff for us to talk about. And you know, my feelings on social media have wavered. I've been working in social media marketing for about 7 or 8 years now. And in the beginning, I thought, wow, what an amazing, powerful business development tool to connect brands with audiences. And advertising on these platforms is so great and it's so cost effective. Now I feel very differently about it. I think that these platforms have really lent themselves to a lot of really serious issues with misinformation, hate speech, harassment, and these are all issues that as um, either business owners or people who are contributing to the business, we have to be really mindful of when we're
Yeah.
dealing with social media. So it was really tough when we were putting together the syllabus to try to focus on some of like the positive aspects of social media marketing, because there are so many downsides and there's so many perils and pitfalls. And when we were developing the syllabus, we felt like everything was so doom and gloom, and we were almost discouraging people from really getting involved in social media marketing. But I think that one of the beautiful things about it is that it forced me to stay on top of the industry trends and what's going on with all these platforms, because after a while you just get so jaded with the whole thing and you feel like, oh, this isn't
100%.
worth it anymore. Yeah.
Even I do. I mean, I get hate comments. I get a lot of like harass
I'm
harassing.
sure.
I get asked
Yeah.
out. Somebody told me, "Oh, you're hot," and I'm like, "Oh my god!" On LinkedIn, I'm like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god!" And there's
By the
other.
way, I don't know if you remember this, but the very first time we met, it was at an LMA event, and this was after I had already attended your program and we had connected on LinkedIn for a while. And I ran into you at an event, and I went up to you and I said, "I love your LinkedIn. I love what you post. It's amazing." And so, and you've honestly been one of my biggest inspirations on LinkedIn, because you really put yourself out there, and
Thank you.
you're so first of all, you're so consistent with the quantity and the quality of your posting, and that I think it's really easy as an in-house marketer um, to sort of put that off to the side,
Yeah.
and because you get busy in your day-to-day life. So, but I see that the efforts that you put in, and so many others, to really market themselves on LinkedIn, and I mean, clearly it's been a huge success story for you. And
It's work, Jacob. I was able to start a business because I had been building my brand on LinkedIn for years when I was an in-house marketer. We were just talking
mhm,
about this. I did a webinar yesterday with Paula Edgar and Melanie Lipman and Wendy Bernero. It was like the program we did at the LMA
I was
Northeast.
there. I was there. It was phenomenal.
And we talked about this conundrum. You're in-house, you work for a law firm, you want to build your brand, you feel a responsibility to share the firm's content. You're also nervous about, well, if I post at 11 o'clock in the morning, something for my own brand, are they going to think I'm not doing my work?
Right.
And then also, how much of how much of me should I show? I share much more now that I work for myself. And then also, what responsibility do I have to share the firm's content and use my own network for that? And it's a struggle, I think. I'm curious
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that as an in-house marketer? And my other question for you is twofold.
Mhm.
How have you built your personal brand, either using social or not? So first, how do you manage building a brand and using social when you're an in-house marketer or when you're in-house at a company? And then what strategies have you used to build your brand?
Yeah. So, we talked a little bit about this during the 21 day social media challenge as well. This concept of like, what obligation do you have to promote your firm online, and what is your firm's social media policy, and how do you strike a balance? I think that the firms that feel like their employees um, should not be like promoting themselves and putting themselves out on social media, I think that that's a really outdated way of looking
I
at
do
things.
too. It
Yeah,
still
I think that
happens though.
yeah, even if you are posting things that are deeply personal to you, by going out there and developing a personal brand, and being a thought leader in your field, I think it can only reflect positively on the firms that you work for. So even if you're not necessarily going out and sharing your firm's content every single day, even you just being out there and positioning yourself as an expert in what you do makes your firm look really good. So I'm very fortunate to work for a firm that gives me very wide leeway to be myself on social media and to put myself out there and to have my own thoughts and opinions about what we're working on. Now, obviously, if you are dealing with client matters and there's confidentiality or things like that, you need to be very careful about that. And you also need to be mindful of how the ethical rules impact the way that you market yourself and your firm on social media. But just in terms of being a presence, I think it can only help you. So I try to be active on LinkedIn. I also think to a certain degree it's not necessarily about the quantity of your posts but the quality of them. So
100%.
so
Right.
if you don't have time to be posting every single day or even every single week, as long as you're posting with regularity and you're putting really serious thought into
Mhm.
what you're putting out there, then that I think pays dividends
You
for your
don't
law
need
firm.
Jacob to post every day at the especially if it's gonna sacrifice the quality, and, like, 5
Yeah.
lackluster posts are not worth posting. You're much better off doing 2 or 3. I post every day because it's very easy for me to do it,
Hmm.
but I don't you don't have, just like you said, success
Right.
on social media also isn't, it's not how often you post, it's what you post, and it's not even how many likes you get or how big your network is, it's who's liking those posts. But also everyone should remember there's a whole hidden audience on social.
Yeah.
People, and email marketing and your website and every single thing you do, people who have no desire to hit that like button. Someone came up to me last week, Jacob, at the at the New York holiday party for the Legal Marketing Association, and they said, "I love your post. You're great." And this person has never ever once liked a post of mine. Think
Oh
about
wow.
that in terms of your clients.
Hmm.
There are, and referrals and prospects and alumni. There are so many people looking at you online. So when you feel discouraged, like, oh, I only have 5 likes on a post, um, or this email didn't, I don't know if anyone read it. This article, I spent hours writing it. Keep showing up because it will
Yeah.
come. It just takes one time, and everything you're doing is an amalgamation of building your brand.
Right. And
Speaking
you
of,
know, and you don't even sorry to cut you off. You don't even need to be necessarily creating your own original content. You could
yeah,
just be chiming in on other people's posts and
commenting.
adding your own, yeah, commenting, adding your own opinions. But if you're going to do that, make sure that your comments are actually thoughtful and contributing to the conversation and not just great job, Stephanie. Love
Oh,
your
I
post.
know. People do
Yeah.
that a lot, and it doesn't help you. But when I was, Jacob's, like, nervous about writing my own posts, I would comment on other people's posts, never hijacking the post. That's also a big mistake. I sometimes people do
Yeah.
that to me where they're like start talking about their business. Oh, my dog wants me to throw a toy at her. And I'm like, you can't do that. That's bad LinkedIn manners. But you could certainly say, I agree with your point, and this is why, or in my experience, I've seen X or Y happen. So those are all really good LinkedIn manners. So, Jacob,
Yeah.
my second part of the question was, what have you done to build your brand? I think I know, like, I think, you're volunteering and your service to others and being active on social. But is there anything else and any tips you have for people who want to build their own brands?
Yeah, I would add one thing to that. And yes, getting involved in LMA and putting myself out there and being willing to spend time volunteering and connecting with people has been massive for me. And I'm very fortunate that in the leadership positions that I've been able to serve, I've gotten to meet some really, really cool people who are experts like at the top of their field. And that's been through a lot of my volunteer work. And then yes, social media is also a part of it. I try to maintain an active presence on LinkedIn, and that's been really helpful to me in terms of building my brand. But the other part of it is that I've gotten very comfortable in the particular area of the law that my firm practices in, which is employment discrimination and sexual abuse. And so I think that I've made a decision. I think about this a lot, like, in terms of my overall career trajectory. Would I want to go work for big law one day just to get that experience in? Do I want to maybe work for an agency or work for a service provider? And right now, I feel like I have developed a personal brand working in plaintiff side marketing and getting really good at plaintiff side marketing. And so that has enabled me to sort of find my niche area. The other part of it though is that I mean for me, because I am a solo marketer, I've had to wear a lot of different hats and I've had to get good at a lot of different stuff. I think that when you work for a larger organization, you sometimes get pigeonholed into
Yeah.
doing like one or two things. And if that's not what you're passionate about, then you get stuck having this brand of someone who's as a go-to as like for pitches and proposals, even if that's not necessarily what you want to do, or you get really good at award submissions, which is like the bane of everybody's existence.
Oh my
Um,
God.
but I think it's important to expose yourself to different facets of legal marketing and business development to figure out what it is that you really love to do. And so if you're working at a firm that perhaps doesn't give you that opportunity because you are so narrowly focused in your
Mhm.
role, have conversations with other people in the industry who are doing other things. Have conversations with service providers. Have conversations with PR managers. Talk to people who really love what they do and ask them why they love it. They love it so much, and by doing that you can start to figure out what it is that you want to do and you can develop your own personal brand in that space. So for me, I've come to the conclusion that I really love working on the plaintiff side. I feel very emotionally connected to the work that I do, and I love that I get to be like an advocate for social
Yeah.
justice in many ways. And so people reach out to me with opportunities all the time across this industry. And so, I mean, I also think it's important to be open to exploring new opportunities.
Yeah.
But right now, I feel very passionately about continuing to build my brand in the plaintiff side space. And I feel lucky that I get to do that, because I don't know that everyone has the same emotional connection to the work that they do. I mean, it makes my job
Agree.
a lot easier, frankly.
Particularly when you're writing chamber submission after chamber submission, it can be tedious and it can be a loveless kind of a thankless, loveless task. So, Jacob,
Yeah,
it is the holidays. This is the 12 days of LinkedIn Live. So, let's
that's
pivot a
true.
little to close this out with some holiday conversation. So,
Okay.
where are you spending the holidays? You just got married.
I did.
Congratulations to
Thank
you.
you.
So, where will you guys be spending the holidays this year?
Yeah, so my wife and I are going out to Long Beach, California, where she was raised, to spend some
Oh,
time with her family. So I get to be in a little bit nicer weather. It's
yeah.
been like it's pretty gray out here in New
Yeah, it
York
looks
right
pretty
now.
gloomy out your
It's
window.
gross. Yeah, no, it's not great. So I'm looking forward to having some nicer weather. Most people don't even know that I got married. I made this big pronouncement on
I
LinkedIn that I
know.
had gotten engaged, but I didn't tell very many people that my wife and I actually eloped a couple of months ago. We just we're still having a wedding in a couple of years. We talked about this,
Yeah, but tell
but
everybody else. I mean, I was
yeah,
so glad to hear about it.
yeah, so we're planning a wedding in 2024, but we just decided that we didn't want to wait that long to get married. And we had been thinking about it. We went back and forth, and so we decided to elope at the Brooklyn Promenade. We had like two people there. We just had a little private ceremony for us, and so now I just so happen to be married. But yeah, we're gonna spend the holidays in LA, and I'm really looking forward to it.
That's amazing. Jacob, what is your favorite holiday movie?
Okay, so this answer is going to be like really basic. I grew up in a secular Jewish household, so we celebrated Hanukkah, but not in any sort of religious aspect. It was really just an opportunity for us to get together. And when I was a kid, I was actually kind of bitter. Like my friends that all celebrated Christmas, they were really into it, and they were like obsessed with Christmas, and I just felt like I never got to experience that like holiday
Yeah.
magic when I was younger, and so I always was like a little bit bitter. I don't really love Christmas music. I've never really felt fond of Christmas movies, but Home Alone is a classic,
Home Alone is a
and
classic. I
yeah.
don't understand how you can leave your kid at home and then again, like for the sequel. Like
Oh
seriously?
yeah, yeah. You'd think that they would have learned their lesson for
I
sure.
mean, Kevin is like, a kid you got to put on a leash maybe or something. So,
Yeah, yeah,
okay, so that's good to know. So I mean, half my family's Jewish, so I get it, and I understand that like it can be like there's not a lot of Hanukkah movies, and although did you hear there's a
I
Hanukkah
don't.
bar opening in for the holidays right now in New
I'm
York?
sorry. A bar?
A Hanukkah themed bar. I'll send you a link to it. It's in Manhattan.
No, I didn't know about this. That's really odd, I
Yeah.
think. But honestly, we're bringing Hanukkah into the mainstream, so that's great. As
It's
long as it's
really
not.
important, I
Go
think,
ahead.
particularly with all the anti-Semitism that's been happening lately. Like, I mean, I don't see it in New York as much, but I know it exists everywhere, and it's terrible. And so
Yeah.
I think it's just a great thing to have. And I am sorry that you don't love Elf, because Elf is the best Christmas movie ever. So maybe we need to watch it together, Jacob, with
Yeah,
your wife.
yeah, maybe. I've seen it. I mean, it's funny. Will Ferrell is amazing, but
Something I didn't know about you, that you're really not into Christmas and
no,
or the holidays.
no. I was always. Although I will say, I've been fortunate to have friends that have invited me into their homes during the holidays, and I've gotten to spend Christmas with them, and it's shown me a new perspective for sure.
Can you see what's in the background here in my house?
What with the tree? Yes.
Oh yeah, the tree. You can't. There's like so much Christmas. It like exploded here.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have you and your wife over for cocktails one of these days,
Yeah.
and you'll be an elf at the end of the night. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
Holiday is Halloween. We love Halloween.
oh, I
That's
love
my
Halloween
jam.
too.
Yeah. Mhm.
What did you dress up as this year?
Oh, I have this like lizard suit. That it's like a bodysuit. Yeah, very embarrassing. And like
Amazing.
no one wants to see me in this thing. Yeah, no, I don't know. It
I
was
was Barbie in a box.
I
Like
saw.
it was a good
Yeah,
one. It was my
yeah.
best Halloween
You did, and you said you made that yourself, right?
No,
You made
no,
the.
no, no. I bought most of it and then I doctored it up. But the best part, Jacob, was it was so COVID friendly to go to a party, because it had like a plastic
Oh yeah.
thing and I could put it down when I wanted to drink.
Just as long as you had air holes in it so that you could breathe.
It was great. It was
Yeah.
awesome. So I'm so excited for all the success you've had, all the great things you're doing. You guys should connect with Jacob on LinkedIn, find him online and other places, and join the social media SIG for in the LMA if you're a member of the LMA. Jacob, thank you so much for being here. Check out your firm. Your firm is doing amazing things for women and others, and it is just really wonderful to hear about the passion you have for your job and the profession and everything. And I'm going to keep watching all the great things you're going to be doing. I'm so glad to have you in my group as a friend and as someone I learned from as well. So thank you
Thank
so much
you.
for being here.
Yeah.
Wish you guys, first of all, happy wedding, congratulations, happy
Hmm.
holidays, happy new year. And
Oh, so, same question to you. Where are you going anywhere for the holidays? Are you doing anything
yeah,
special?
so my family, my brother and my sister-in-law, my niece and nephew moved to Westchester. My sister-in-law is Jewish actually, and she's hosting Christmas. So that's
Oh, nice.
fun. So we're gonna do it together, and then I'll be out at a cabin in New Jersey for like the week between Christmas and New Year's, where I'll be working because I never take off, and it's all about my dogs. And so we're gonna enjoy like a few days out there. So I'll be local though, and yeah, so
Oh, that sounds lovely. Well, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun, and I wish you a happy holidays, a happy new year. And yeah, thank you so much. This was so great.
thank you guys, and thanks guys for watching. We'll be back next week because there's actually 12 days until Christmas. And even if you
Oh,
don't celebrate Christmas, it's still just a really nice festivus time of year. So thank you, Jacob, for joining me. Have a great day, guys. Bye.
bye.
Okay.